So one thing we've not done at all is add an image to our site, and it's not as straightforward as you might think it is. At least it's not the same as you would do in straight HTML, but it's really pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is just add an image here on the home page, and we'll do it two ways. One using the CSS files for this particular component, and it doesn't exist yet, so we'll create it. And the other way is just to declare an image in our JSX the same way you would with HTML. And the syntax is a little bit different, but it's very straightforward. So let's go look at our code. And I'm looking at the component for home, which is home.js inside the components folder inside our source folder. And you might also notice that I have a new folder at the same level as components. In other words, right beside app.js, and it's called images. And inside of that, I have one graphic, a file called movie_tickets.jpg. And that file is on the course resources for this lecture. So go grab that file, create the folder inside your source folder called images, and put that image inside of it. And once you have that done, come on back here, and here's how you include an image. So what I'll do is wrap this entire return statement, the contents of that return statement, in a div. And I'll give it a class name, just to center everything, equal to bootstraps text-center. Okay? So I'm going to wrap this whole thing in a div, just so I can have more than one thing in there. And after the H2, the title, I'll put a horizontal rule, and then I'll put my image. And I'll write the image tag first, and then I'll show you how to set the source. So, image source equals, and I'll leave that blank for right now, and then the alt text. Alt equals movie tickets, or movie ticket, like that. And I'll make this a self-closing tag. Okay, now I need to put something in the source equals part, and I can't just put the direct path name to that image. Instead, I import the image. So I'll import, and I'll call it ticket, from, and the location would be the current directory / up one level, because we're inside the components folder, / images / movie tickets.jpg. Okay, and down here, I just use my standard syntax to use that import ticket. So once that's done, if I go back to my web browser, I should see those tickets. And there they are. Okay, now that's one way of doing it. Now let's also create a CSS file for our home page. So in my components folder, I'll create a new file, and I will call it home.css. And then, of course, back in home.js, I need to import that. So I'll import, and this time it's just ./home.css. Now let's go write some CSS in there. And what I'll do is create a class called tickets, and I'll give it a background image. And this is the part we're interested in. The URL for this is going to be ./up one level, and then inside the images folder, and then movie _ tickets.jpg. And I'll give it a width of, say, 200 pixels, and a height of, say, 140 pixels. And margin left, I'll make auto, and margin right, I'll make auto, just to center it within the div. Then back in home.js, I'll simply put a horizontal rule so I can see what's going on, and then I'll have a div class name equals ticket, and just leave it empty. Now, when I go back to my web browser, I should have to reload this. Don't see it, so I missed something. The S on tickets. I think that's what I called it. Tickets, plural. That'll explain that. So let's go back and look again, and there it is. The height's not quite right, and because I'm a perfectionist, I'll just add a couple of pixels to this, say height 143. See if we can get the whole image in there. Close enough for government work. In any case, that's how you add an image to your various components in React. Now, to be clear, this is only for images that exist within your React application. If the image exists on some remote server, you could just include it the way that you normally would, with the source equal to the full URL for the image. But If it's going to be existing within the source for your React application, this is one way of getting it in there. All right, that's it. Let's move on.